You can say, I've learned from it. Yes.
Best thing that ever happened to him. He learned he needs to do it again.
He got during that.
I love that moment.
The little hand blocking the camera is my favorite still. Cowboys 23, Giants 16. 2 hours of field goals, and then finally the semblance of offense and good defense in the second half. CeeDee Lamb was dropping everything. But then he made 2 huge plays late, and the touchdown ballet was beautiful. Cowboys 2-0 with Cooper Rush. Bill, 2-1 is a good place. I think we can all agree. Are they in a real place? What's your takeaway on these Dallas Cowboys?
It's a real place. Cooper Rush, only the second quarterback in the Super Bowl era to win his first 3 games with fourth quarter comebacks.
Is that
Cooper Rush
right?
Missed on one pass during the 3 scoring drives in the fourth quarter that gave them the win. Cooper Rush lets everybody know it's okay if Dak Prescott is hurt for a little while. Take his time getting back. And the defense was unbelievable. 24 pressures, the most in the NFL this year. 5 sacks. They were all over the Giants. The Cowboys were in a really, really good spot with winning the game with a backup quarterback on the road. Are you kidding me? Big win.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper. David Dennis Jr., how about you?
Yeah, for me, the takeaway is that offensive line. When Tyron Smith went out before the season started, we were all spelling doom about that offense and what was going to happen. It looked like it was coming to fruition when they played Tampa Bay. But this rookie, Tyler Smith, has filled in. He only allowed 1 pressure last night. The Cowboys have only allowed 1 sack since that week 1. They're at 5.9 yards per carry last night. And if you put Dak Prescott right there behind that line where he can make more plays, I think that it changed the trajectory of what we thought for them at the beginning of the season.
2 wins with Cooper Rush. I'm asking, not are they in a good place, are they for real? Israel Gutierrez, your answer.
I think they're for real. It's not necessarily because of Cooper Rush. I mean, it's because, David Dennis mentioned the offensive line. Well, that running game is legitimate. Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott finally having sort of a breakthrough game here. And look, you talk about that defense with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, that's what's going to win them games, is consistently keeping their team in it and keeping Cooper Rush to being able to either hand it off or make plays out of play action. That's sort of the best situation you want to be in if you're a backup quarterback, is have a great defense, have a strong running game, strong offensive line, and just don't mess up. And obviously you get lost Amari Cooper, you lost Wilson, you didn't have their tight end today, had to go to CeeDee Lamb a lot, and even with him dropping the ball early, still had the confidence in him late. I just think that this is a team made up to win this season, and with Dak Prescott back, I think they're
This is blowing my mind. So that's 3 telling me they are for real. Monica McNutt, I turn to you.
I gotta admit, the Cowboys look pretty good. The thing that I took away last night was definitely the defense. I mean, Micah Parsons has 2 pressures. He had 15 in the first 2 weeks combined. He wasn't necessarily his full strength self. 5 sacks, 5 pressure breakups. I get it, blah, blah, blah. However, let's talk about their schedule, because the Eagles and the Rams are looming after they get past Dallas next week. And so I'm not ready to say that they are the crown of the NFC, but this is a team that looks pretty complete.
This is blowing my mind, honestly, that everybody from Overreaction Monday, when the question was, are they done? Through 2 weeks now where they won the game last night against Daniel Jones and the Giants, and they're for real, David Dennis Jr., please, plead your case again.
Well, I mean, I think they're for real as long as Dak Prescott comes back healthy. I think that's going to be the determining factor. But, that's really what makes the difference, how he looks when he comes back. But right now, a TBD, yes, for real.
Go Flash, your last word. You can't TBD for real.
You can't overstate the importance of a backup quarterback on a team with an injury-prone quarterback like Dak Prescott. Having this is like an MVP position Cooper Rush is playing. And if he can guide them at least a little bit throughout the rest of the season, they're going to be hard to beat. They were impressive.
The New York Football Giants, their first loss. Saquon Barkley is going right this season. We know that. Some of the penalties went wrong for the team yesterday. Brian Daboll, first-year coach, gives great apoplectic when penalties happen. Is anybody feeling a buzz back in New York? David, are you?
I'm feeling a buzz about Daniel Jones. Like, this was, we're going to focus on the sacks. He only had 196 yards, but he actually looked better than he's looked in a long time. There were a few passes, 2 bad drop passes in that fourth quarter. There was a horrible pass interference call that should have made that game closer, would have made his performance a lot better. But with that said, as good as he's playing, it only highlights how bad that wide receiving core is and what that front office needs to do. They haven't had a Pro Bowl wide receiver since 2016. That front office needs to do something to help this quarterback.
Well, they thought they did, right? They paid Kenny Golladay big money to be that guy, and that has not worked out. And they're also losing Sterling Shepard now for the season with the torn knee ligament. Israel Gutierrez, please.
Yeah, it was a short-lived buzz there because their comeback wins against the Titans and then the win against the Panthers aren't really indicative of a very good team. And you look at this team against Dallas, against that intimidating defense, and Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, while they had, decent games. I mean, LeBron even tweeted Saquon's back, I think maybe a little prematurely. But they don't have that explosion. They don't have the ability, obviously, with these wide receivers and Shepard now out. And I think with Daniel Jones, while he does have the athleticism, some straight line speed, I don't know about him getting out of the pocket and his maneuverability in there. It just feels like this is going to be one more sort of lost season for the Giants as they assess Saquon, as they assess Jones, and see what happens. But that sort of buzz might have been just a 2 weeks
So
ago.
everybody loves the Cowboys after this win, and the Giants, they could have had this game, Monica. The fans were in it. This is something we haven't seen from New York in a half a decade.
New York is thrilled about this team. Okay, last night aside, if on the flip side, we open this conversation about how for real the Cowboys is, if you look at their schedule, they got the Bears coming up. Like, it's an opportunity to sort of bounce back. Last night was a tough performance, absolutely. But you look ahead, there's a couple games that they could still and have something good or have good time to evaluate Daniel Jones as they look ahead.
You still think we're in Daniel Jones' evaluation period? Bill Plaschke, how about you? When you think of a team, starts out 2-0, Daniel Jones has moments in every game, it seems, but it's a give and a take.
I was very disappointed. I was charged up about the game early, then I realized Daniel Jones is 0 for 9 in primetime games. He's never won a primetime game. Their offensive line, since 2010, they haven't drafted. None of the first-round draft picks are still with the team. Kenny Golladay has been terrible. So Saquon Barkley's back sometimes he's not. I think by the end of the game, I was disappointed thinking this is more of the same old Giants. I was excited for a while, but I think there's so much personnel problems. They have so many sins of the past. They got a new good head coach now, but it's going to take them a while to get this figured out.
Some of those penalties were just backbreakers in the drop of the pass. Oh, all right. Yesterday, we did AFC Power Rankings. Everybody still had Buffalo, which didn't surprise me, but, I mean, Miami did get the win this week. Kansas City didn't play. In the NFC, now that the Giants have fallen from the ranks of undefeated, Israel, go ahead.
Well, the NFC, I think, the Eagles are probably the top of the heap right now. Obviously undefeated. Jalen Hurts with some weapons and his running ability and that defense. It just seems like they're probably the most complete team right now. After them, you got to throw in, I know, the Cowboys. You got to throw in the Buccaneers, I think, just because of that defense. And then I think the Minnesota Vikings and probably the top of that second tier, the Los Angeles Rams. Those are, I think, the five.
Oh, so the
probably
Rams
best
are a
teams
second
in the,
tier. And by the way, were you looking at notes when you said that? Like, you had to remind yourself what teams are in the NFC?
Look, a list past, if you got to do a list past 3, you always have to have something you can look down.
Monica McNutt, your power rankings.
He's looking at notes. That's against the rules. You can't look at notes, Tony. You got to penalize him for that.
Ahead, Mon.
That's as old as this show is.
Look, I know we love Jalen Hurts and he's answering all these questions. We're 3 weeks in. This is a team that hasn't even had to score in the second half of a ball game yet. I got to see how they respond to some adversity. For me, past success is an indicator of future success. I'm still looking at the Buccaneers. They've been injured. They've got Tom Brady. They've got a stout defense. Slow your roll on the Eagles a little bit, people.
Bill Plaschke?
Izzy, the Rams are second tier? Wrong. The Rams are still champions until proven otherwise. They just went into Arizona and held the Cardinals to no touchdowns. Matthew Stafford won a game. He didn't throw a touchdown pass for the first time as a Ram. His fewest completions as a Ram, or pass attempts as a Ram. They can win many ways. They have a great defense. The Rams they're slow to get it together, but they're getting it together. The Rams are still the class of the NFC.
David Dennis Jr.
All right, no TBD here. We're going Eagles. They are the best team in the NFC. They're
Thank
the
you for
class
no
of the NFC.
TBD. Thank you.
No TBD. There are some concerns, though, even though there's no TBD. The teams right below them, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, I would say even Dallas, and Los Angeles, all have superior front lines. And I want to see what Jalen Hurts does under pressure. He only had a 75 QB rating under pressure last season. But if we can make that jump, I think, they can sustain that top
Here's your last word.
Here's where I will slow my roll on the Eagles. Jalen